Welcome to Classic Burners. On today's episode, we're going to be journeying down the rabbit hole to Anchorage, Alaska, New Mexico, even India, and then back down to Hollywood, California. Today's guest will be Anger from the CBS Crew. He's the leader of this very important, iconic LA crew. Stay tuned, jump on board, and don't miss the bus. All right, we got Anger CBS in the house. How you doing, my brother?
What's up, buddy? How are you?
Good to see you again.
Thank you for having.
Man, it's an honor. Thank you,
Yeah,
my
thank you
brother.
for having me. Definitely,
really
man.
Appreciate you, my brother.
Definitely.
All right, man. Well, let's get right into this.
Yes, sir.
We were talking a little earlier, man, and bro, like some of the, and over the years I've known that you just have a very unique background. Why don't we just get into that a little bit? Let's go back, just the family thing. I think it's an important story to tell. I think a lot of people can glean a lot from what's happened to you, from your experiences.
Right.
I think a lot of people will be able to relate to it, and so we really would appreciate if you could just share with us some of the experiences you went through in your kind of unique pre-graffiti, and then we'll get into, leading up into graffiti, like basically some of the things you went through and then how that led into graffiti.
Gotcha. Well, I guess my life started in Alaska. I was born in 1972 in Juneau, Alaska. My dad had gone up to Alaska to become a fisherman. My mom was up there because my grandma and grandpa were educators, and they got a job up in Alaska. And my mom was still young when she went up there. She was, I think, still a teenager. And so she ended up moving up there with them. And then she met my dad, and he was a bit older. I think at that time she was probably like 19 when she met him, and he was probably 35, 36, So they had a romance. I was born, but kind of before that, I guess my dad had a relationship with another woman prior to my mom, and probably had multiple relationships with other women before my mom and between this other chick and Pat, whatever, right? Because my dad was kind of he's a philanderer. Yeah, philanderer. He liked to cheat a lot.
Okay.
Yeah, so what ended up happening is, like, when I was born into the world, I was born with a sister. But my sister, it turned out, wasn't really my sister, or wasn't my full sister. She was my half sister from my dad, right? My mom, God bless her soul, both my dad and Pat, the woman that he had the kid with, they were negligent parents. And my mom, at a young age, realized that my sister didn't really have the love and nurturing that she was going to need in her life. And when I was pretty young, I remember her winning the court case in the state of Alaska, and she got custody of my sister. So at that time, I guess having two kids, being super young, it was the early 70s, mid 70s. Like we were talking about a little bit earlier, religion and
Well, let me ask you this.
Yes, sir.
Not racially, like you're a mixture, right?
Yeah, I'm very racist.
Oh.
Yeah. What? Oh shit! No. No, I'm. So my mom is Nordic. She's a big Viking-looking woman, mm-hmm. and she's got Scandinavian blood, and my sister, her sisters are all like pretty big people, mm-hmm. Big women, big boned. And then my dad is also he's Native American, part Native American, and German and Irish and other, Heinz 57 or whatever. So I grew up probably I have a lot of freckles, and I don't know if it like makes me look darker or something like that. I always got kind of like fools always tripped on what I was. People could never, like, you look at somebody, you're like, oh, that fool's Mexican or, whatever, right? People would judge people and kind of be right. But never everybody would be like, what are you, Cuban, black, this, that? So, yeah, Native American, Scandinavian.
Did that create any problems at school and stuff when you were a kid? Or did you kind of fit in?
Not at all. Well, because what happened was my mom got involved in the Sikh religion when I was young. So I was probably 3 or 4 years old when my mom started following the teachings of this guy named Yogi Bhajan. And Yogi Bhajan had come from India in the 60s, I believe, and he was teaching yoga, meditation, and kind of taking a grab at the culture at that time. I think a lot of people were into that sort of thing. I know even before my mom had gotten to the Sikh religion, we took a journey all the way from Alaska to Tennessee to go live on a hippie commune. And I think my mom's always kind of been like a searcher. I mean, right now she's settled into Buddhism for a long time. She did Japanese tea ceremony for a while. I mean, she's been up to Mount Kailash and, she's kind of, done some really cool things as far as enjoyed the fruits of what the world has to offer, But she was first tied up with the Sikh religion, and that, that basically put me into a setting where I lived around and in ashrams. So I lived in like communal living with people, and the Sikhs in there. The Sikhs
were these houses, or were they like traditional, like yurts?
No, they're houses. Okay. Yeah, they just would rent big ass houses, and they would just have like multiple families in the house. I also lived down the street from one of the ashrams, and I had some fucking crazy. And I've told this story a couple times, so some people might have heard it. Whatever, I guess I had a friend down the street, and I had some foul. I had a couple I had some stuff happen at that time where I got sexually molested by a friend's brother. Along with that, right around the same time, my dad kidnapped me, and he took me for like a day or two.
You know what?
From my mom.
Stop right here.
Yes, sir.
I want to thank you for a lot of people don't have that courage when they've been the victims of like violations like that to speak up and stuff like that. And I know it's part of the healing process.
It took me a long time.
And
it took me a long time.
It's way too, it's too much.
Yes, sir.
But I just want to take that moment there to just give you that respect, because a lot of people wouldn't talk about something like that.
Thank you. I kept it in the closet for a long time. My mom would ask me about it, and I would say, "What you talking about?" I mean, it took until like I had kids, to kind of grapple with it, and I went to therapy for it, and I still do that. You know what I mean? I still try to seek out knowledge. So, anyways, I was kidnapped by my dad, which was trippy. I mean, my mom was kind of trying to keep me away from him because he was maybe not so great for me at that time. I had a time in my life where I wished I had been around my dad. There were times now that I wish I would have spent and known him more because he's passed away. But we rekindled our relationship later on in life, and we became very good friends, and it was, it was a good thing. But after those two things happened, I think I was 7 years old, and my mom sent me down to live with another family in New Mexico. So the Sikh religion had a compound down in Espanola, and I went and lived on like and they had like trailer, almost like a trailer park, single wides. And I lived in a trailer park with another family. My mom stayed up in Alaska, and I was there. And then my sister came down like a little bit later, and she stayed with another family, but in the same area. So at least I had my sister nearby. I went to like a Sikh school that was right on their compound. And I just started, at this point I had already been in this religion for 3-4 years, half of my life. It just kind of felt who I was, I didn't know any better. I didn't know anything else.
What was like a daily routine for a Sikh?
It's a great question. No wonder you're doing this show still. No, so a lot of Sikhs observe a very clean lifestyle. So no drinking, no drugs. They all grow their hair out. So the women have hairy legs and armpit hair. The men grow their beards out really long. They believe in 10 gurus. You know, that's what they're. Just how the Hindus have who they believe in, the Christians have who they believe in, the Sikhs believe in 10 gurus.
You
and
mean
all the
like
gurus,
elder teachers?
Correct.
From the past?
Yeah.
They follow like their teachings, kind of like the way Jewish people follow certain rabbis.
Exactly.
Things like that.
Exactly. Okay. So I always liked this one, I always like had a affinity for this one, and I forget which one he was, but this his name was Guru Fateh Singh? I don't know. He was a warrior. He was like a warrior.
Like
a
warrior, guy who stepped
warrior
up
guru.
to
Yeah. He was badass. There was like a story about him like getting his head cut off, and then he picked up his head and still fighting, you know, like going crazy. So,
Legend of Sleepy Hollow.
Yeah.
That people.
So yeah, that brought me to New Mexico. I stayed there for about a year and a half. I believe my mom came and visited me a couple times, but at that point, there was a rumor going around that a lot of people were going to go to India. And so
You mean to move out there or just for a trip?
move out there.
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
to go to a school. There was a school up in this place called Mussoorie, which was up in the Himalayas above Dehradun. So you're kind of looking over at the bottom of India. The plains of India are down below you, and when you're looking behind you, if you're at a good peak, you can see like the mountains of Nepal behind you.
Wow.
Pretty trippy place. And exactly where I fucking heard Ronnie James Dio for the first motherfucking time.
Yes. Over there?
Up in the fucking mountains, looking over in the fucking mountains of fucking like Tibet,
nuts,
Nepal and shit. Some dude handed me a fucking headset.
But what did they have?
This is some
cassette
Sabbath
tapes or what? I mean, what was it?
What?
Was it a cassette tape?
Cassette tape. Yeah.
Wow.
They were listening to it. They were like, hey, you should hear
Walkman?
this.
They had a Walkman
it was so
back-
badass.
Wow,
dude.
man.
I love it. Every
Crazy.
time I hear Dio now, I'm just like, wow, it just makes me fucking gets me fucking hyped, dude. Anyways, I ended up out in India. We went out there. There was already a couple Sikhs out there that had come from America to go to school there. I ended up going to school there for a total of 4 years. The first half a year I spent at the girls' school, and then I went to the boys' school. A lot of foul shit was happening again out there. I had a drunk headmaster, and that led to me getting caned a lot. So I was taking bamboo sticks to the legs, and I was getting, rulers to the hands. And at one point I just got kind of sick of that abuse. I became big enough that I could see eye to eye with people. And even if I couldn't, I just felt like I just fly off on motherfuckers, and people started touching me, and then I would touch them. And it kind of sucks because I ended up like taking a scrub brush to this other kid's face, and that kid like didn't deserve it, and I was kind of becoming like a fucking bully.
Like you were
Like
kind of
I was getting bullied, and then I was becoming a bully.
Yeah, it was like coming out. Like you had no way to let it out, basically.
Yeah, I was frustrated.
Yeah.
And I probably needed to be out of there already. And then the school, finally, when I took that scrub brush to the kid's face, the school kicked me out of there. And that sent me back home to the States.
Okay. So why don't we pick up then? Let's go.
Yes, sir.
Pick up to when you ended up in the, I guess, Melrose, Hollywood area or something over in that way. Because from what I mean, just I didn't quite know you yet, but guys that knew you told me that you were a kid that basically you still had the Sikh thing, and you were, but you were already running with them writing graph, like you were transitioning from that life. So tell us about that little period of time.
All right, real quick before we skip
Okay.
rocks, because
Okay.
it's not a couple years
Okay, I got
between
you.
when I got back to the States.
Oh, I got you.
I came to, I had come back to visit from India, and I had spent a winter in the Pico Robertson area. And I met Axis back then. We became friends. He was skating, I was skating. he lived right next to the ashram, so he was used to seeing Sikhs. He wasn't fazed by us having turbans because he saw them every morning, every day. This is normal life. Like he didn't judge me for that, which, you know, God bless his soul. And then I took off back to India. That shit fucking happened. I got sent back. And then I went to school in New Mexico for like a half a year, got kicked out of that school. And then I ended up back in LA. And that's when I started doing graffiti. That's when I started.
Did you reconnect with Axis?
I reconnected with Axis. I started chilling with him. He was from like the Westwood area. Mm-hmm. And he went to Emerson High School. And I think at that time he was going, was he going to? No. He went to Emerson High School. So we had a bunch of friends that he hung out with. And so I would start taking the blue line down Pico, and then we would take it to up Westwood Boulevard, and we go to this dude Steve Blair's house, and that's where we first started smoking, drinking. You know, I started catching tags. I started seeing gang banging. You know what I mean? Like everything was right in front of you. I think Westwood isn't like Westwood now. Westwood is like dorky and fucking weird. Like Westwood back then was like mad poppin'.
Like young people would flock.
Yeah, exactly. People from all over the place. It was pretty fucking trippy. It
was like
dude.
a hangout for young people.
You had Hollywood Boulevard.
Yeah, one of the hangouts.
Hollywood Boulevard, and you had Westwood.
Yeah,
and you had a couple little areas where people
would make the rounds to these. Those were areas where young people would go.
Everybody was looking for trouble, and some people weren't.
Yeah.
It seemed like there was always trouble, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just started seeing the scene. I mean, and watching. I hadn't watched TV that much. You know, like I was like stuck in this fucking weird fucking portal where like TV wasn't in front of me. Like when I started living in these ashrams, they didn't have TVs that much. And then and even littler, when I like went out to India, it was like nothing. So when I got back to America and like got to watch Dukes of Hazzard, that shit was like awesome, you know? And I got to see everything, the culture, and I got to like fucking just wear fucking jeans. Like I had been wearing fucking what they call a karta and churidars. Like that's like a little like tights and like a dress. You know, so putting on fucking jeans was like fucking, that was like a American. Like I was like, fuck yeah, I get to be American now. You know, I still wore the turban, still rocked that shit, but I was a skater and I was like BMXer too. I was like kind of like, I saw BMX and then like I wanted to try it, and there was where Palms Park is, over by Motor. There was a fucking track right there. So I would like kind of bounce back and forth, and people would be like, oh, you're a skater? Like you couldn't be both, you know what I mean? And I would go to Venice and I would see like BMXers getting beat up by skaters, and I would be like, oh shit, like I got to choose one, you know? And I was like, all right, I'm gonna be a skater. That's all I'm gonna be, you know? Put my BMX away. Yeah. And there's a photo, I want to fucking find it, but literally the photo probably looks exactly like that photo I took right there. I have jeans on. I have a bandana wrapped around my fucking leg. I'm on my fucking Diamondback. I've got a jean jacket on, and I think I got my turban on. So everything about me is exactly the same. Jeans, jean jacket, fucking, besides the turban. Just bald,
and why did you hang on to the turban? I mean, it seems like you got rid of things little at a time, and that was like the last thing to go. Was it like your heart was a little bit connected to it still?
My mom didn't want me to leave the religion. I kept on telling her that I wasn't down. She kept on telling me that this is what you're doing. This is what we're doing. You're still, you know, a teenager. I was rebelling. I was going out, getting drunk, coming home, just getting in trouble with her all the time. And there was countless times where, you know, she was fed up with me. And what I would do is I'd put my turban on. I'd be like, all right, Mom, I'm going to go, you know, we're going to go do whatever. I'll be back. And then I would go downstairs and I would take my turban off and I would put it in this little cupboard that we had. And then I would go out, do my thing, and I had my hair down, you know, so, and in that time it was, you know, I had long, nice hair. So, and it was, you know, rocker hair, and people loved,
but that was part of the religion too. They don't cut their hair, right?
They don't cut their hair.
Right.
But I just was I was going to play both.
But it looked good, like as a rocker too.
Right, exactly. So I was going to, like in the daytime, I was a Sikh. I would go to school, I would wear my turban, all that stuff. And then for these few hours, I would probably go out and have my hair down and then just kind of like meld into society.
Yeah,
you know, like when you're a Sikh, like especially in the 80s, the mid 80s, everybody would like, you know, you would always get this, you know, like, what the fuck? Right. Why are you looking like that? You know, it wasn't until later on in life where people were like more accepting of each other. Right. You know, Axis was probably a pioneer in that area. You know what I mean? Because him and like my boy Tren and shit like that, they were like, oh, you wear a turban, so what? Doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Man. Let's skate. Let's skate.
That's really cool.
Yeah, so that's what ended up happening. That's how kind of we ended up being like a little posse, because we were a skate posse in our neighborhood. And Tren lived on Shenandoah. I lived on Worcester. Axis lived right here. This other dude, Bose, lived right here. And we had like Bias and Exink. They went to Beverly with Tren. And then we skated for a long time and we were tagging.
What was your first tag name?
My first tag name, I believe, in America was Derelict. But I was trying to emulate tagging when I was in India too. I saw like what was going on in Thrasher magazine. That's kind of like where I first started learning how.
All the pools had graffiti on there. In the pictures.
Yeah, and the street scenes too. You know what I mean? They would just always capture it the right way, and like you were like, oh shit, like I could emulate that. And my name was Siri, and people used to call me Ree, so I tried to I think I tried the gang styles, like, you know, some Venice looking letters or something like that, you know. And then when I got to America, it was Derelict, and then for a second it was it Scorch? I think it was Scorch. Oh no, sorry, totally lying. My first name was Sad Boy. Oh, wow. Sad Boy to Anger.
Gangster.
So yeah, funny enough. Oh, and what's his name says what's up. Keo says hello.
Oh, Fred.
Big shout out to Keo.
Yeah,
right?
Shout out to Keo.
Exactly. And I've been talking to Minor lately.
Right on.
Right? And Minor, I'm supposed to go pick up some paint from him.
Cool.
And so Minor was, when I started writing, Minor worked at Standard Brands right by my house. So I would go over there and I was, you know, go in there trying to rack shit.
And you were aware of his tags and who he was, right?
He ended up there was like a little park right next to the ashram, and there was a day like he was in there like smoking weed or something like that, and we skated this red curb, and then like he told us who he was, and he had this cool like station wagon that was all fucking metalled out. It was all stenciled and like really cool and individualized.
Guys, this was like a legend or something at that point, right? Because he was a legend all over.
He was a legend in the graph scene at that point.
But you guys were aware already of the bigger scene, like guys like Minor or guys like Rival or whatever.
We had gone to Motor before, and Axis I think had a better knowledge of graffiti than I did because he was just immersed in it a little bit more. I had just kind of barely started.
It was foggy, basically.
Well, I had just kind of started, and then what happened was I ended up, trouble always finds a way to follow me, right? I started, when I got into CBS, I also started gangbanging, and I was from a neighborhood with skate, which was called Scandals, and we had beef with the West Side Crazies, and because this guy, Crazy Larry, had gotten shot at 7-Eleven over in Office Hotel or whatever. And so I joined that gang, started fucking gang banging and like getting beef with all these fools on the West Side. I had a distaste for people on the West Side because at one point I got jacked for my shoes and I had to fucking walk home barefoot, you know? And there was a West Side Crazy that was the guy. And so I was like, fuck yeah, I'm down to have beef with these motherfuckers, you know? But then started getting calls to the house, people threatening my life, shit like that. And that was like the early 90s. And my mom was like, fuck, trying to hide me again. Like, had she been doing her whole life? I'd just been, you know, getting kicked out of school after school after school. I mean, God bless her for staying with me all these years, you know? So I ended up going to New Mexico again, to the same commune, and I worked with some dude and made money, and then.
But by this time, your heart was already to get back and do graffiti.
Yeah, I had my hat on that I got from the Pico swap meet, and I fucking CBS on the front, Cappy Stop going around it, You know, I wore the fucking.
It was already.
I
like
wore the gear. I dressed it up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I was about to. Yeah, I was down for L.A. I was down for fucking some aggressive shit. You know.
Let's talk about you getting in CBS.
So then I ended up. I mean, I did that whole thing and got back to L.A. and getting into CBS. That came along because we had our little skate team in our neighborhood, right? And then Tren had gotten kicked out of Hamilton High School. He had maced one of the classrooms, and he got transferred over to Fairfax High. And then he met Crook. And Crook was then the president of a crew of 4 people, which was CBS. I mean, it was literally Crook, Skate, and Deuce and Thief. Thief was Crook's brother, and Deuce was, you kind of remember Deuce, right? Dude had all the fucking mad hand styles back in the day. So he was CBS too, but CBS wasn't really big. This was like maybe the second phase of CBS. It was like Skate's beginning of his phase. Like he had gotten kicked down the crew a little bit earlier, and Crook and Skate basically went to recruit me, Tren, Axis, Exink, Bias, Link, and Xer. I think
So he saw the potential in all of you guys. You guys by that point were already getting up a little bit, started getting some style. And he saw maybe that, hey, I could work with these guys.
Yeah. I mean, you've ran a crew. You know how I run a crew. And which I want to stop and say this real quick. I want to tell you that I thank you so much for what you did for me in the 90s. You were so influential to me as a leader, and you took me under your wing, and I'll never fucking forget that. So thank you. I appreciate you. Yeah.
You're welcome, my brother.
Thank you.
And you know what? We got a certain topic I'm going to bring up later on where I'm going to return the gratitude.
Yeah. But I think I've said it to you before, but I just wanted to make sure it was on camera from every angle. All right. I just wanted to I really appreciate you taking, I mean, if I can even tell people the story. I was going to get into UTI. Skill wanted me to get into UTI, but Shen at that time and other people didn't maybe want me to get in. I had thought about it and I was like, just kind of, I think skated past in 93. I think that was like in 96, 97 or something like that. And I remember I went to Kentucky to be with my sister and my little niece was just born. And I was kind of like pondering on it. And I was like, man, if I join UTI, like then I'll just be split and I won't be able to like give my crew the dedication and love that it needs, to grow. Like I'll have to water multiple plants. You know what I mean? Like if I can just water one plant, it's going to, so I was conflicted, but that's when I came back to you and I said, and I made a choice to really stick to my crew. And I think you didn't even think twice. You gave me a hug and you said, you're still my brother or something like that. You just made it feel so easy and simple. You weren't like fucking mad about it or anything like that. You were like, awesome. Hell yeah. Dope. Yeah. Well, you know what I mean?
My philosophy at the time, and you remember, I think really well, that it was about kind of building things as a city. Because by that point, I was already an older dude looking down the road. Yeah. I was like, what, where is this thing going to go? And what are we going to leave behind?
Yeah.
And so my main interest was like, you know what, let me pass on some things that I've learned and let me just encourage others so they can keep this thing going. You know what I mean? And so that was my mindset at that time, and we worked together on some things.
You were already doing God's work at that time. You didn't even know it.
But I remember Chicken Scratch.
Yes, sir.
So this is further down the road, but this was in the 90s. Siri was, you had gotten a hold of a place on Washington. It was like a pretty nice size, like a loft type of deal, but it had a nice parking lot area that you could use. And you did some events called Chicken Scratch. And I think we might have been helping you promote, passing out the flyers. You'd put all kinds of crews on there.
Yep.
And then I think, and this is where I want to show you my appreciation because I had some pretty like ambitious ideas. And one of them was to kind of make a council of all the different leaders of crews.
Yes.
So we could work together because I saw that, the gentrification and control by corporations of graffiti was already on the cusp. And I felt like almost like making a union, like look, if we are the only ones that are going to look out for our own interests.
Yes.
And so, and we're all going to start getting offers, and things may go down. So it's kind of good for us to have communication.
Yeah.
So we could kind of maybe discuss strategies on dealing with that. You know what I mean? With something. You know what I mean? Like, hey, what do you have? And we were trying to form a kind of a unity, like a coalition of all the crews, to open up communication. And you were really helpful in that. You backed me on that. You supported me. Even when other people might have laughed about it, said, that's impossible. This is graffiti, whatever. But you had enough openness and open mind, and you were visionary enough to say, you know what, let's try it out. Let's see what we can do. You know what I mean? You could use my space, and you helped, gather people and use your influence to help gather people there, younger guys, younger crews, generations. And we tried, we did what we could. But at least it was the start of something, at least the thought process, at least we put that out there. I feel like maybe we planted some cool seeds that later on helped guys think critically about things like that. Yeah. About their future and how to control their program, their art and all that, and their just to make sure that they don't get taken advantage of and that sort of thing.
So, I mean, I think there was two things that were pretty galvanizing for the scene back then. One of them, which I wish would always fucking come back and should come back, and the cause was so fucking righteous, and everybody that was part of it was so passionate about it, and it led to so many great fucking adventures and like the beginning stories of who Los Angeles is. And that's the Earth Crew. I mean, really just what the fuck, why isn't it still around? I talk about it sometimes on my just, I've said it to people a lot of times. I talk to Nuke about it all the time. I feel like, and I wasn't part of Earth Crew. I actually, where you guys were having a meeting one time, I was sitting outside, and me, Stans, Chaka, and a couple other young CBS guys, we were all sitting outside and we were mocking everybody, and you were talking, and we were putting a voice on you and everybody that was talking, because we weren't allowed to go in there because we were having a great time.
Okay, let me take a second for our viewers. I think, go ahead. Let me point out to our viewers. Just so you know what Earth Crew was.
Yes.
Okay. So
important.
I would like to say it was 89 and 90. I think late 89 it started, and then 90 it really got going.
Right.
But what happened is there was a young lady who went to Fairfax High who had her best friend, which is a guy, get killed by gangs accidentally or something like that because of violence, that was going on. And she wanted to, she knew some of the West Coast guys and some different writers, KSNs, and she had an idea, like, why don't we do like a memorial for this dude? Because they all knew him and liked him, and people were open to it. So, it started with Whisk maybe calling me, and a couple of other people say, hey man, we're thinking about doing this thing, a memorial piece. Maybe you want to come down to the meeting, because they were very. So her mother, Helen Samuels, and so ended up making the Earth Crew. But it was the daughter first that approached us, and she started out. But her mother was a very influential person because she had a wonderful life story, or a very deep life story, and that she was raised as the daughter of an American counselor in Mexico City. So she grew up in Mexico City as a chilanga, like a local Mexico City person. Like she spoke the dialect perfectly and everything.
But hella white.
Yeah, but very white, but also very bold and adventurous.
She was like, that's what I was saying. She was like one of those chicks that would like pop up in every conversation. She was like, what's up? She was like, had a lot of like energy.
She had been married to a mob boss.
Oh, really?
Went through all kinds of stuff. She had a deep history. She had been married to then like a tall Viking guy that was like a.
I just hear about so many cool stories that you guys, what you guys were doing back then. I was always jealous.
But not apart from the marriage thing, this is what made her real special, is that she was a very open-minded person that was very positive and very wanted to help and make a difference.
Right.
And she met people from all kinds of religions, faiths, and it didn't matter. She was just cool, and she was all about love.
Right.
And so when she saw what we were doing, she's like, "Hey guys, well, do you ever think about why think small?" She was a big thinker. And that's where what Helen made a big difference in us is that she helped us to think and look at the bigger picture and to stimulate deeper conversations.
Love it.
So we started having meetings at her pad, and it just kept growing. Like dudes, the word started getting around, saying, "Hey, well, why don't let's pull so and so and let's invite so and so." And she's like, "Come on, bring them." And pretty soon, man, we had a group of like 30 people for the first one. So
all of LA, but it was like it was what you wanted to do in 98, 99, right? Yeah. Was already being done early on without you guys even knowing about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, which was a trip.
That's.
And was it 8-year span? It was an 8-year span between the two.
Yeah,
no?
It was about 8 years.
And 8 years?
It was a long time.
Native American culture says that life goes in 8-year cycles.
Wow, I didn't know that.
And you guys were following a lot of Native American cultures.
There was a lot of Native American
throwing into that.
There. Yeah,
right.
Yep, there was.
And the best thing that LA could do, or the graffiti scene could ever do, is reignite Earth Crew right now. I think I've called out Ferv before. I've said to Nuke before. It was the best thing that could have happened and should have been still happening, because it just made everybody put everything aside.
It did.
It made everybody put their colors aside, the racial part of their colors, their paint aside, and they were just all one with each other. And what was, it was harder in the late 90s when you tried to do that, because people felt like they were trying to get played. You know what I mean? And people felt like they didn't, like there was a move on somebody. And remember, like there was weird shit that happened at my pad, right? People were just like rock bombed on fucking J-Rock from LTS, and then it just all went sour after that. But I think there was 2 good meetings, right? That was super fucking powerful. There was the talk of changing the name of what we were doing.
Yeah.
There was tons of opinions about things, but it was super fucking. I think those things.
Theory about words.
I think
and
those things. Why aren't we doing
power over something, right? So if I was like, we're being put on this, and phase 2 was long before it was talking about changing the G word graffiti right into style writing and whatnot, right? So I was like, but we're on the West Coast. We have our own flavor of it, so we can come up with our own name. And I think I based it on a Native or some kind of a pre-Columbian type of word. Too.
No way.
Yeah.
But what was it? What was Phase 2's thing about the independence? Independent, or what? He had like a little crew called the. Was it?
No, the Independence.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. But phase 2, interesting. But also he was a prolific writer. He wrote the International Get High Times, IGT. It was like a newspaper format. Yeah. Like a really big magazine. And in there he wrote, thought-provoking articles. Yeah. And one of the big things, like he said, is like graffiti is a word that they've placed on us to minimize this as just vandalism, whatever. And it overlooks all the art form part and the communication and all the other aspects of it that are deeper, and what's being born here, And so like I was figuring, like, why don't we? That's a good start. You know what I mean? We could start by us defining what we do, and you know what I'm saying. That gives us a sense of control that we came with.
No, yeah.
And so,
I like style writers. I think that's fucking dope. Yeah, that thing that he did with style writers was. And that's why I think that's cool.
I go with it. On this podcast, I say style writing and graffiti because some people don't know about that yet. But over time, as more people know about it, we'll be able to just totally drop that G word. You know what I mean? Yeah.
But is that a good thing? I mean, I don't know if it's a good thing to drop the G word. Well, I don't know if it's a bad. Just because. Phase 2 had an opinion about it. It doesn't mean he was the official on it. You know what I mean?
Right. No, I agree.
Like everybody is contributors, and everybody gets to make a. If you're making a mark, you get to have a say in what you're doing. Yeah, right. You know what I mean? Yeah. But I think the graffiti thing is going to stay there. Think it's
I figure. I'm just saying, and for me, either way, I think it's just.
I have a really good saying, and it makes the graffiti it makes the word graffiti okay. Just say, hey, I put the G back in graffiti. And you can take that, and anybody can take it, and it just you individualize it. You know what I mean? I put the G back in graffiti. So.
Yeah,
it could be all kinds of names.
It could be all kinds.
It could be
of
everything.
Either way,
have fun.
Yeah,
you know?
that's right. Sometimes sometimes labels cause problems too. So
Exactly.
So
Yep.
all right, cool. Well, the Earth Crew, yeah, great point. Great
Yep.
point. It would be nice to see it at that time. I think it was ahead of its time, and that's why everyone was young. The seeds got planted, and we are now each as individuals carrying that and that message of love, of protecting each other, protecting our environment, protecting everything. And all the murals of the Earth Crew had some meaning to them.
Yeah, they all had source and value. Yeah, totally.
Like we would work together and come out with these concepts. And later on, that helped a lot of people, and it helped me later too in acquiring murals.
Yeah,
that were legit, because sometimes cities or organizations wanted a mural, and then that process that we learned of how to like brainstorm, how to make like a she helped teach
layout
us
and all that type of stuff,
making a layout, and a presentation, setting up meetings, following up.
Yeah, because
she was teaching us the real basic
after
stuff.
that, because Skate and Mir were part of that, right? And at the same time, they had started a business with the homie Ollie from Lads. He was also CBS. They had this place on Santa Monica and Vine, I think it was. And no, it wasn't Vine. But anyways, yeah, it was Vine. And they had like a little studio, and they had bought a bunch of Groco for this big project that they had done. They had done this club, and they had built this. Remember that big, like, it was like a jungle scene. It was like off of Santa Monica, but on the north side of the street. But you had to go in the back to go to see it. You ever seen that jungle scene? Really fucking cool. It was huge. Like it was Mir and Skate. Yeah. And they started there. Then I think that I can see now that they were influenced by like what was happening with the Earth Crew, and they were trying to start a business. They were making business cards. They were putting all the work into a portfolio so they could be shown more. There was and there was other writers involved in it. I think Key was one of them, but they painted the outside of the Galaxy Theater before the Galaxy Theater was built. Spank from NBA was part of that project, I believe, and then they got certificates from the city of Los Angeles, and we got to all go have brunch with Mayor Bradley up in the Holiday Inn right there. I think it was a Holiday Inn, right? Highland and before it got changed to a swanky hotel, and and Skate at that time then started working with HBT, Hollywood Beautification Team. And he told us no more hitting Hollywood Boulevard.
Because he got that set of like barricades, and you guys were able to piece all of them, right?
Correct.
Yep.
Correct. So we were kind of like, he was kind of already wagering deals with the city to kind of pull back, pull back deployment on people.
But isn't it
like
awesome?
He was like, hey, nothing. Nobody tags CBS. Nobody fucking hit CBS on the rooftops. Nothing.
Isn't that awesome that even people that ran the city were looking at us now as people that they could bargain with?
Yeah. Yeah.
They weren't just saying like these are just vandals. That means that they recognized like these people know what they're doing, and that not anyone can just do that. You know, there's thought behind this. There's a culture behind this.
And you know what sorry, go ahead.
Okay.
Finish.
Okay. Well, but I want to say this because this is important.
This is a quick tie. This is a quick tie-in with that thing. Let me just say this real quick. Shoot. At that time, all that was going on in '93. Skate then passed away. Right. At that time, we didn't really know what to do, and Skate's body didn't really have a proper burial. I think that in L.A. they had taken his body to Utah to bury him, right? Because that's where he was come from, a Mormon family, and so that's where his body was going to go late rest, And so we hung out in Waddles Park, which is a park in Hollywood. It was like the Stoner Park where everybody chilled and did our thing. We did our barbecues and meetings and all that shit up there. And so somehow, because Skate had given canvases to Mayor Wu, who was the mayor of Hollywood at that time, because of the whole thing at Galaxy Theater, then we were able to pivot that into getting Skate's plaque put into the park.
Wow.
So 1994, we were we were getting a contractor to cut the fucking concrete, put the plaque inside the there, and it's there to this fucking day. 30 years later, I just went and put a new plexi on it. I just painted the whole thing. Just took care of it. So
that's
the everlasting. You know what I mean? It doesn't matter how long, how far. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think even though the graffiti fades away, something like that's still sitting there from the remnants of what that was.
Yeah, right.
Even though
historical marker.
Exactly.
Well, while we're on this point, I think this conversation is important, and I want to take the time to honor a couple of other people, and also to share with you this. I don't know if we've ever shared it because it might have been before your time, but there were two other very important.
I joined
people.
CBS in the end of '88, so I can claim anything from 89 forward. I think I'm pretty good with, especially in the West Side around my area and motor. But then, I don't claim anything 86, 87.
So these two incidents or events, historical important events for the culture, happened in '89.
Yes, sir.
And one was the Pico House and Burning Desire. It was the first show where graffiti in L.A. was respected. And I'm going to tell you the story about it because it's important. There's a guy named Heriberto Oriol. He's a photographer. He's the father of Esteban Oriol, the guy who took the picture.
I love that guy. I've met him before. Yeah, he came to photograph one of our shows in 2008. I love that guy.
A lot of people don't know, and some people do know, that his father is a old school, awesome photographer.
I know that. I know he is. Yeah.
Okay.
Of course.
Very, very. Him and Angelica, his wife, just awesome people, bro.
Yes.
And so when the Hex and Slick battle and all that stuff was going down there, they happened to be walking by and took pictures and came down and talked to us and jived with us and everything. And not only that, but they kept going back meeting people. They met Mondo, they met me, they met Duke. And they said, you know what? And this is just how things work together. They said, we just got a hold of, in Olvera Street, there's a big building called the Pio Pico House, because Pio Pico, the first governor.
Yeah. I know who he is. Yeah.
He lived in that house, and that was the governing.
It's still there. It's the brick one, right?
Yeah,
I know what you're talking about. I just rolled by and I was like, oh, that's the Pio Pico house. Yeah,
that's it.
Yeah,
it was abandoned for a long time. Okay, and it was just empty.
I need to talk abandon with you in a little while too.
Okay.
Let's talk abandon. Okay? Yeah, I got something.
So it was basically still usable for art, though. Right. In other words, and they saw that potential. They're like, why is this historical building just sitting here? Right. They managed to go through. Again, people who were very savvy and learned how to deal with the cultural affairs department, and got permission to make that into a gallery. And it just so happens before us, maybe there was one show, but during them having that show, they ran into us their mind got blown by seeing everything we were doing, and they were young people, and that we weren't doing it for money or nothing. It was genuine creativity that we were just doing for one another or just to express ourselves. Right.
Right.
They got a hold of, so they got Hex and Slick, both of them. Me, myself, Mondo, Duke, and they did a show that was A+. They got funding from Cultural Affairs.
Yeah,
they built these big panels. We did it. It was afterwards. We got an award of recognition from the city, and this was early on. But the cool part about it is, they just weren't, doing it to just get us paid. What the whole process was, they were teaching us how to fish.
Yeah.
And all along, they were saying, "This is how we did it, and this is how you do it." And they're just breaking down game. We were obviously kind of young, and we were, what I'm saying, we couldn't pick up everything they were putting down, but they did plant seeds, and what they did, that selfless, looking out for the youth and looking out for genuine art.
Yeah.
I mean, is people like that are special. I want to honor Heriberto and Angelica.
Yeah.
Thank you. You know. And
no, he's a really cool guy.
One more person.
I like him. Yes, sir.
And this came a little bit after that time. Maria de la Luz, also a photographer that ran into us, also around the Belmont, and befriended us. And particularly my crew. She's but it expanded to more. At first, we built a relationship with her. She was like, you know what? I do this and that. In other words, I am very comfortable dealing with the Cultural Affairs Department. there are grants and funds out there, and I'm going to teach you guys how to go about. She was so cool. She was like a mentor.
Yeah.
She would, for nothing. She wasn't doing it for pay. She wasn't doing it for anything. She would take the time to call us each, set up meetings, organize us, break down this is how you do it, you know. And I mean, this is not a classroom. She wasn't funded by the city, nothing. Just a lady from the heart that was like, and helping us to think bigger. She's like, yes, you could get like these muralists, they get paid for that, man. You know, those grants are out there. And this is, so she helped open up the doors for a couple of murals. And also later on when Shot had his band Downset, they were starting out, or it was before Downset, it was called Social Justice. And they were like a straight edge.
Can you name any good songs by them?
Social Justice?
Any good? No, Downset. They got any good songs?
Of course. What's your name? What's your writer's name? Yeah.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug.
Bagger. Yeah.
But before that, Social Justice, they were they had a band. I had a band at the time called Knowledge Threat.
Yeah.
And we were doing art. So she said, why don't we go? She had a hookup and an idea. Let me go to the juvenile halls and let's play music for them and share art and stuff with them. You know, and inspire these kids. Like you guys are already got to learn how to not only like, I'm going to school you guys on how to get into these things and do these things.
Leverage yourself.
But you guys also, in order for you guys to do it to the next ones, you know what I'm saying? Like to kind of keep this chain of like helping one another fish. It'd be like, it's almost like bringing it back to the natives. Like they would teach the young guys how to fish and hunt and do all to survive, you know, and then they in turn would teach the younger ones and keeping that chain going. And so we ended up playing at Central Juvenile Hall, at Los Nelas, at Nellis, Central, and at Silmar.
Gotcha.
At those 3 juvenile halls. At Los Padrinos, and Silmar, and in the Central Juvenile Hall.
Gotcha. That's dope.
Was it East Lake?
I did East Lake. I spent some time in East Lake.
And so
it's a nice facility.
So we actually had to get she got us badges. We drove in there. We played concerts. The kids were mostly all gangbangers stuff, so they were tripping up. But they were like, "Yeah, that's good." Once they started listening to it, they kind of like opened their ears to it. And we had graffiti backdrops and all stuff, and it was just it was awesome.
Let's bring it back. Sounds like fun.
And what that did to us, it made us think like, man, anything's possible.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And I think that helped me also think bigger when like in doing productions or doing stuff. It made me have like a feeling of like, man, we can do anything if we just we dream big and go for it. You know what I mean? And put the work behind it. You know?
Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. Seriously, it's so fucking powerful. Like read that book. Anybody that's out there,
catch that.
Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. If you want to get energy and you want to feel fucking energized, like you want to feel energy to do what you want to do in life, it's a great book for anybody to pick up.
Another one is called The Richest Man in Babylon.
Yes.
They're little parables set in the setting of ancient Babylon on how to use your finances and how to save and invest and all. But they're really simple, but the principles are really fun and help you. Like they're really good principles.
Yeah. No, it's
so that's game right there.
Yep, for sure.
All right. So
what you got next, buddy?
What we got next? Why don't we roll with let's roll to Melrose, because that's a big thing with you and CBS.
Mm-hmm.
It's like sacred ground to your crew.
At this point, yes.
At this point, and I watched it as it developed, and it was beautiful. It was like you guys took alleys that just had a lot of tags and stuff like that and just made them into yards, man. Just started talking and building relationships with the businesses, doing productions. Tell us about Melrose in the 90s. Like, walk us through it. You know, the vibe, the energy. How was it like being a CBS on Melrose in those days?
I mean, Melrose was fucking a cracking street. There was tons of fucking girls on there all the time, tons of action on the street, and then tons of action in the alleyways. Because some people wouldn't even, I mean, people would always dip into the alleyways to smoke and chill, you know what I mean? And catch tags. You had people that just walked through the whole alleys just catching tags. And, you know, we weren't the first ones up there. You know, that developed over time. And there was people like
Talk about
Raymond Roker.
That's right.
That was doing things up there.
Tech.
Tech. Yeah. There was people like
OG.
KSN Crew
Yep.
that was already doing
Fairfax High, right?
right,
Yeah.
and they had done the newsstand
Rise
right
and
near those
Rev,
walls.
PJ.
WCA Crew was
Minor.
already up there. They were doing certain things in certain areas,
Right.
and just so people
But
know,
you guys were like the next
just
generation.
so people. I just don't. I don't want to. I don't like to fake the funk. That's why I don't like to. I don't like to. I like people to have it straight, and that's why I said tell people. Yeah, no shit from 88 on.
Mm-hmm.
The end of 88 on. 89, I'm good to go, you know? But there's a lot of people that try to be like, oh, yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
You know, just because they saw flicks or they heard some story, they try to be around in a time they weren't. And
Right.
I try to displace myself from that thought.
God,
you know?
it's good.
Yeah. So all those guys were doing their thing up there. I went to Fairfax High, so I was up there all the time. And all of my whole crew, we were always hanging out up there, doing beer runs, hanging out in the alleys, smoking, going up on the rooftops, drinking, smoking, fucking, sucking, snorting, doing all that shit. Not snorting yet, but doing hallucinogenics, definitely. Lots of fucking mushrooms, lots of fucking acid. So we would just... I think we would just soak up the whole atmosphere. I mean, that would be like our kind of day. I mean, we had the Beverly Center that we chilled at, and then that would kind of be a spillover into Taco Bell. And then like when somebody would, throw a soda on somebody, and then so we'd get kicked out of Taco Bell. So then we'd go to Arco at Fairfax and Melrose, and we'd chill there for a little while. And then like if it was like, during the day, we'd be on Melrose trying to pick up chicks, trying to fucking just
from a graffiti
fuck around.
perspective, though, how did you guys build up those alleys? How did you build a relationship with the businesses?
It's coming. Yeah, it's coming. We definitely saw all of the people that were there before us. Their footprints were there. We knew that they were there, but they were also kind of by the early 90s. Some of those crews were not doing too much. Our crew had not done too much maybe in the 80s as much as those crews had done, but we were on the come up then. Skate had developed and gone out there and got like a really good team together. I think that's what you do when you are running a crew. I think Skate was very before his time, as you were, as most leaders are, right? They're always forward thinkers, always thinking outside of the box, always projecting good, positive affirmations for the crew to go forward. And Skate was, I think Skate was kind of like, clowned a little bit by the older generation. I think WCAs and the lads and all those guys in the neighborhood, they were kind of like, he was like a dude that they punked a little bit when he was younger, and then he grew up to be a little bit bigger and more influential. And then literally, he got into every neighborhood that clowned on him. He was in WCA, he was running CBS, he was from lads, he was, doing the most out of everybody from each of those crews. He also joined in with OTR. He started MTA back in those days. So I just, man, if I could give props, I give Skate props all the time. But like, what?
C2D, Create to Devastate.
He wasn't
with Rob
C2D.
One.
No, you're thinking 2 and 2?
Too Cold Smooth.
Too Cold Smooth, yeah.
Okay.
2 TCS.
TCS.
Yes. So what happened was all of our just kind of hanging out led to Skate and Mir getting a job at Beat Nonstop. Beat Nonstop kind of let us do our thing in the back. Our thing in the back kind of trickled down into the alleyways, and we just, you know how we do. We just
keep.
We're the new fucking Genghis Khans of this motherfucker. You know what I mean? We roll in and we see opportunity at every fucking corner, and we keep on pushing. We keep pushing down the alley, keep pushing down the alley. Oh, we should grab that wall. Oh, so-and-so came here and painted.
The cool part is that they see what you're doing, so they were open also to... Like,
everybody was open. We had good talent at that time.
They're basically just saying, just keep order, and
Correct.
Make sure, keep an eye out, whatever.
Yeah.
Keep the trash down, right?
over the years, we learned a lot of those things. And a lot of that came from failure. You know what I mean? And losing walls and new owners coming in. Now these days, modern day, I would say like 20 years ago, I was asking people and telling people that I was going to be in their alley painting. I was going to let them know, hey, I'm back here. When I go in there now, I don't approach it like that. I don't ask them anything. I tell them what's going down. These are my walls.
Because now
I hold this down. I hold down this
the community.
Correct. Mm-hmm. So, I think over the years, I'm being the leader of CBS Crew doesn't mean you're the best guy from the crew.
Right.
I'm not the best guy in CBS at all. But I also saw that. I also know that in the graffiti sector, there's a lot of tough guys, and I'm probably fall in that category more than I'm a skilled fucking painter and a sick ass fucking bomber. I'm a no nonsense fucking tough guy that's gonna smack you in the mouth when you want to talk some shit.
But beyond that, I think your strength is that you really passionately care.
But there's a lot of my story, the story of Melrose. You have to deal with a lot of people coming up there trying to come up and make an island or make a molehill into an island and an island is something else, and they're like, oh well, we got permission from the owners, and like I just started being like, yo, dude, like what are you trying to do? Like you're just coming, like we're up here, we're doing our thing, we're hustling on this block. There's hella blocks all over the fucking city. Create your own fucking scene. Yeah. Why are you coming up trying to steal what we're doing?
Or at least talk to us. We are the
natural inhabitants of this area. We're not coming from the east side trying to fucking, establish walls up here. And there was people that were coming and we were like, hey, we're not going down there trying to establish and take out your walls. Why are you coming up here trying to take our state? So it's, as you know, we live in L.A. It's gang neighborhoods.
But it goes beyond that. Look, you hit an important point, and I call it the colonial mentality in graffiti. Okay, yes, so as you know, and this is what I tell people. I say, look, for example, if you're ever going to paint a member, I always tell my crew, if you're going to paint and you want to paint, and you have to talk to them, call Anger or I'll call them. Yeah. And remember, I'd always communicate with you. We want to go paint down there. Whatever, you'd be like, well, let me see, because you could curate. You know what like can be gone over. It's been there for a while, and that what's fresh. Yep. All that stuff. And it's not that you're just a guy that doesn't want no one to paint. It's like you just want the respect to keep the order there. You know what I mean? Because you guys are
there's that you get a bunch of cooks in the kitchen, and everybody's doing weird shit, and you got you don't really have.
You were stepping up as an elder for that community. Correct. You were running it.
Correct.
Yeah, and that's what elders do.
Yeah. And likewise, when I go to downtown, like I'm always in contact with Nuke.
Exactly.
I'm like, hey, Nuke, because Nuke's been down there forever. And
here goes a good story.
Yes, sir.
I moved up to the Bay on a non-graffiti tip, right? You know what I'm saying? Just life led me there.
Yes.
And, but of course, when I touched down there, the first thing I did after a little bit, I kind of watched, because you always kind of, even if you're not writing, you see that you look at the graph, you pay attention.
Writings on the wall.
And, we already had like a relationship with writers from the Bay from before they would come down for our events out here and met us and stuff like that. And sometimes we met them in other places and whatever, right?
Right.
So I knew like Vogue and Dream and those guys. And so Vogue had a shop there. One of the first things I did was show up to his shop and just say, hey, Vogue, what's up, man? Skill, long time no see, whatever. And, just gave him that respect. Like, I'm just letting you know I'm here, whatever. I live out here now. I'm not writing. I'm not into that right now. I'm just family stuff, but just, wanted to say hi, you know what I mean? And then, and I wasn't, really there for graph at all. And then I run into, I did go to an event that Estria threw called the Estria Battle or something like that he would have a competition up there. And I ran into a couple of guys from LA that happened to be visiting for that. And I ran into Resic, and Resic was living out there also. I didn't know that. And he was like, Skill, dude, what's up, dude? And we just all hugs and just love. And we kept in touch just as friends, though, because he was not really on a graph tip too much, you know what I'm saying? And I wasn't. But the doors kind of started opening for him. He started painting a little bit here and there. And then he'd be like, I think having a friend around encouraged him. And he was like, why don't you come on, paint. Like, I think we should paint again and this and that. I'm like, I'm not really feeling it. And he kept trying to convince me, bro. And finally, one day he goes, look, we got a legal wall. We're doing a production. just come and do a, we're not good at characters. Can you just come and do a character for us? And finally he bugged me so much. I said, okay, I'm gonna come do a quick character, whatever. And you know what I mean? And, you know, just to show love, whatever. So I went up there, they're painting and stuff. He didn't even notice me. I grabbed a few cans, bro. And in like 5 to 10 minutes, I was already doing a dope character. And like, I still had it. I hadn't lost it, man. And I ended up doing a fresh B-boy in like 30 minutes, bro.
Yeah.
And afterwards, that's when he noticed, like, you know, they were painting. And after I was almost done, they saw me and they're like, Skill, dude, what's up, dude? And then it was so live though. Crash was working on that one. I guess the long story short, what I'm saying is that Crash was on that, which is an OG out there. Mm-hmm. And he introduced me to him. And every time that we painted from that point on, we would go through Crash, or we made sure that we kept and connected with locals and let them know, look, we are your fellow culture guys, like, and we know the ethics of respect. We're not here to colonize. We're not here to, you know, try to, you know, we want to build with you. So speaking about colonialism and stuff like that, which is something that you bring to mind when you're talking about that, because basically that's what it is. It's like, it's a mentality in graffiti that happens when writers from another city go to another city, but not so much to, like, almost like vacationers and tourists, but not to build relations and connect with the culture there. Right. And so in a sense, it's like they're ignoring, and it's kind of like, it does have a disrespectful taste. Yeah. And so what I've always wanted to avoid that. And so like in the Bay, that was important for me, that when I got out there, that they understand, look, I look at us, there's certain things that connect us. We may be from different cities, but you know, I'm coming to you as a fellow practitioner of this art form, right, and I give you the respect, and therefore I am here as your guest, and you know, so when I move, I'm gonna definitely move along with you, exactly, not apart from you, and I live here, so I want to be a part of it, not just be a visitor, exactly. And because we went about that, our crew out there built really good relationships. We're not considered some like foreign thing. People don't hate on us. We're respected, and you know, and we give love back. And so, I think that that's something that is an important thing we can learn from. You know what I'm saying? It's like, because there have been cases of in the past, dudes from a city going to another city, and you know, I'm going to say this for LA. In the past, there's times that guys from LA have been up north and went over stuff and filmed things that were kind of, you know, kind of braggadocious and kind of not, but worse than that, now there's like this, like they call it the hipsters or whatever, like people who are basically rich and they just travel to cities to do graffiti and damage and stuff like that, like a vacation, but they just come there and do that and then leave, you know what I mean, without building relationships, networking, knowing anything, adding to the culture.
Well, it's their loss. Yeah. Really, it is. Yeah. You know? So I always try to do my best to ingratiate myself with the area that I'm in, you know, and meet the writers that I've, you know, that built in that area and stuff like that. And you know, you get the good weed, you know where the good bars are, you know, like there's a lot of pluses. Checking in, it doesn't, you don't have to, it's checking in with somebody. You're just checking in. You're making sure that they're good, and you're making sure that, you know, you got a wall for yourself. You got you know, things lined up. I mean, in my line of work, I would have to go on the road a lot, and I would always find writers in different cities, and that was like always fun and adventurous, you know. And they would, so I that's a thought, and I often share with people. I say, look, graffiti is communication. Yeah. And when you start communicating with people and you get to know them, whatever, then, you know, you build friendships. It's about relationships, right. You know what I mean? And that makes it richer. Yeah. You know, that you know people. All my relations. All my relations. You know? Absolutely. Exactly. Relations is what all of this is about, you know, relationships. So, yes, sir. All right. So like from there, why don't we talk about, speaking of all of that, how crews now, because of the internet and being able to network with people now from all over the place, crews now are becoming not just limited anymore to just one city. Like, you know, they're starting to have chapters and members all over the world, man. Mm-hmm. So CBS was one of them at the forefront of that. Why don't you talk to us a little bit about CBS is becoming a worldwide crew? Fuck. I think that saying itself is very overrated. Like, I don't think there's any crews that are worldwide,
Right.
and I don't think there's any crews that are or people that are all city.
Yeah.
It's a terminology that somebody puts on themselves to make them seem bigger than they really are. But they're on a stage and they're doing really good. That's what that's really what it is. But I'd probably go back. I mean, I think a lot of fame will come out of publications. Right? A lot of UTI stuff was very in people's face when there was SP magazine, because you knew somebody from that magazine, some guy.
Well, we were.
I heard he was an asshole.
Oh, yeah. Wink, wink to the executive producer.
But I think Can Control played a lot into it. I mean, Can Control got out there at the right time in the early '90s when CBS was doing shit. Skate was super smart to link up with Power and start and be from SC and run around with him. And Power was catching, the crew was catching lots of wreck, and then that was in a magazine. And then people would get that magazine and they would take it home and they'd be like, oh, wow, oh shit. And it was the same thing with me. Like, I was looking at like UNT when before they were LOD, I was looking at them and I was looking at Sleaze and Mosh and Hex and all those guys. And I was like, oh shit. Like, they were my new Tony Alva. They were my new Christian Asoy. You know what I mean? I didn't want to be like those guys anymore. I wanted to be like those guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I would always, I think that's really cool. Like, that eventually, like, your idols in this game and in a lot of games, they become your friends. You know what I mean? It's a trippy little game that goes on.
But the beauty again comes back to relationships. That's the cool part about it. It's like we're networking, building, and it's just cool because now we get excited that, hey man, we can make friendships and relationships in all over the world.
Yeah. So current modern day. Next month, CBS Crew will be opening up a chat. We've had people in the Northwest, but we're actually going to be opening up an official chapter in the Northwest.
Cool.
Beginning of the year, end of the year, beginning of the year, we opened up our first chapter in Australia. We have members in Brazil. We have members in Italy. We have members in Japan. We have members in a lot of different places. I would definitely credit publications into doing that. But then con art was a big thing, and CBS was a big part of what?
You guys did a movie too, right? And that did pretty well. Right?
We did a movie?
The CBS movie.
Who, CBS did a movie?
Yes.
No, yeah, we did. We did. Yeah, we did a movie.
You don't remember?
That's right. We did a movie.
Treated like a special guest.
We did a movie. That one, yeah. We. So I think that there's a lot of different things that go into building your crew and it took time to learn all those different things. You know what I mean? But it's not all only about going out and doing fresh graffiti. There's also building a network with the people that are going to be able to push your stuff. And any time that I look at it, it's all because you have a relationship with somebody that's making a publication. Mm-hmm. In the early 2000s, our boy was doing Joints magazine. Rennick from fucking CBS, old school, Filipino homie, and I'm hooked up with him now. He's my homie in the warehouse spot that I got. So he was doing Joints, and all of our stuff got in Joints magazine, similar to how your stuff got into SP magazine. And I think that's how you kind of build.
It's
a good way to
introduce yourself
exactly.
to people. People
exactly.
read about it, they see it, pictures.
The movie. I had a big part to do in the movie, and for its most part, I was the one that kind of came up with the idea about it. I was locked up, as you remember, in the 2001, I think it was. Yeah, 2001. And I just had this like epiphany that I wanted to tell the story of CBS Crew. And I got out, I started talking to some heads about it. It didn't transpire or come around until probably 2007-ish. We started like making some headway and started like actually grabbing enough old footage and getting enough new footage and started to combining them together and making a story. And then that probably took like 10 years to do. Because as you know, projects become, dust in the wind because you go to work and you become, driving a fucking bulldozer or some stupid shit, you know what I mean? Totally not fit following your passions, and you're working for people that you really don't want to work for. And then sometimes you get that time to, put it together and really like
be able to push
it. And then we came out with the movie in 2016, the end of 2016. 2017, it went all around the country, not all around the country, but in different spots in the country, West Coast and East Coast. And then it got put on the shelf for a little while. And then the recent incarnation of it, the one that everybody will see and on what's called, I didn't have too much to do with that. I had a falling out with my homie Bleak. And they ended up doing the movie without me. And so whatever you see right there, which it's pretty much all it was all the meat and potatoes. Like I could have made a snuff about it, but I saw that it was just like, it's a story. It's out there. Could there be some other stuff that's in there that's cool? Sure. You know what I mean? Did they leave some stuff out that, and then did they highlight some people that were not supposed to really be highlighted? Sure. You know what I mean? But like, it's a movie, like I look at it like this, like, in 10 years, 20 years, there's going to be a bunch of different content about my crew, and it's just going to be one of the things that's about my crew. So probably the early 90s, I want to say like the first guy we got in the crew, well, there was some European dudes coming out here, like Lumit, and those guys came out here, and I remember Skate was homies with them. I can't remember if he put him in the crew, but there was this one guy, Kaz, and he's still from the crew today, and he was put in the crew like early 90s, and he's from Japan. And so that was probably like one of our first foreign members. There was one guy that Axis and Eris put in. I think he wrote, I can't remember, some German dude, but I don't think he didn't stick around. I think a crew is only going to be is only going to have so much success as the members that it has and the members that want it to be successful. A crew can be super talented, but if there's only one or two guys that are like massaging it and making it into what it needs to be, it's not maximizing its potential. You know what I mean? It takes like a lot of people working all at once in cohesion with each other. And sometimes it just takes me like getting in somebody's ear, and I'd just be like, oh, like, yo, man, a bunch of dudes out there. Like, what's up? We need to grow out that way. Like, oh yeah, like my boy's in the Midwest right now, and he lives in Arkansas. And I'm like, all right, like we got to grow a chapter out in Arkansas then. And we'll just use you and the couple of these dudes, and eventually we'll have like a little chapter that's in the Oklahoma, this little area. Okay. I take a lot. I think I took a lot of. You taught me about a lot of this. It's all your fault. You're the one that taught me this.
I think a lot of it grows naturally, bro.
That's what and you is. Look at what other people are doing, and you learn from fucking like what other gangs are doing, what other fucking motorcycle gangs, or their fucking gangs that were in our city and organizations. And
this is a good topic. Is crews?
We really,
crews
is a
good topic.
Crews. I love. I love my crew. Can't Be Stopped crew. For me, has been a way that I could be who I was with this great name behind me, and I've always been.
You felt the support of all the people.
Well, with how my life was and how my beginnings were and the different things that happened to me, to be welcomed by Skate into CBS and feel the brotherhood that we all had at that moment in time. It was there's nothing like it. I would have done anything at that time for my boys. I would have done anything in any time, in any situation. If somebody looked at one of my homies the wrong way, I'd hood check that fool right away. You know what I mean? Not even thinking who was around. I wouldn't even, right. I'd just be like, oh yeah, you just looked at my homie the wrong way? Bah! You get it, you know?
This brings up an important thought that I had earlier in just thinking about things about crews, was that, okay, how we said about relationships. And that's one of the key things, that the communication creates these relationships. This is like a communication form. Then those relationships, once it expands into 2 or 3 people that all know each other and are connected, it's like it starts becoming like a little family.
Yeah.
You know, friends, you know. And so crews are essentially just little families of friends, you know what I mean? And sometimes they're the friends that in a union, a little family that represents a certain area because they run into each other and they regularly. Yeah. You know, or sometimes it could be from different areas, but that's generally what it is. It's like little families. That's why some people say, well, how come you're from a lot of different crews or whatever? I'll be like, well, look at it this way. I've been around 40 years. And over time, sometimes there's like people I'll run with that I naturally, like in relationships, we'll hang out, we paint together, we like each other, we build like a bond. And and they have a little family, and I'll be like, hey, man, can I push that family and be a part of it too? Yeah. I want to, and that's how my crews are to me. They're just like little families. Like, I have my cousins over here. I got my other cousins over here. You know what I'm saying? Like, like my nephews over here, if they're younger cats. You know what I'm saying? Yep. My brother's over here. You know what I'm saying? It's just depending on the age levels, whatever, how I view them. But they're family. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I mean, now this is like the fucking 30th year that I've been the leader of my crew, and like there's times where I was like, man, I just want to quit. I just fucking hate all the fucking politics. I don't fucking care if you're from my crew or not. I don't care if you think I'm a bully or not. I don't care, I just want to like get away from it, and then sometimes I have this, is more times than not, I'm in love with my crew. More times than not, I'm fucking trying to figure out ways to problem solve things so that I can have the crew run in the right way. But I remember hearing this saying, and it was when I was going to prison, and I was reading this book by Leonard Peltier, and it was called Prison Writings. And he said, it's our imperfections that make us perfect. And I was like, oh, well, I got to take that with me. You know what I mean? I got to fucking always carry that with me. And sometimes, like, I look at my crew and I was like, oh, fuck, I want to pull my hair out. I'm going to pull my hair. No, I can't pull my hair out. But I just got to laugh, and I just got to care, and I just kind of like, there's like it. We're just a bunch of imperfection. We're a bunch of young kids that just started something that we didn't know what it was going to be. We didn't know it was this guy. I didn't know it was going to be worldwide. I didn't have that plan in fucking, when I joined CBS in 1988, you think I was thinking about fucking colonizing fucking Australia? No, but like as the internet opened up, then you can see you're not looking like this. I think when we're in LA, we're just looking around like with blinders on, and we just see what's right in front of us. And I think the internet's kind of opened our eyes to like other things, other places, and the ability to expand. And if you don't expand and you don't take chances and you only play it safe and you only recruit Mexican dudes into your crew that only speak Spanish and only have that's not going to grow your crew. In our crew, we take chances. I was given a chance by Skate to be from CBS. I don't want to turn anybody away. If you have pink hair, you could still be from our crew. I don't fucking care. If you're a black dude, you could be from our crew. That's okay. If you're, I went to fucking this Native American thing that happened in fucking in Arizona, and I was like stoked to fucking. I forgot the name of the. I'll remember the name. Anyways, from that point on, when I went to that event, then all of a sudden, all these Native Americans, graffiti writers, were like wanting to be in my crew. And I was like, this is fucking awesome. I would hate to have a crew of a bunch of fucking white boys. We are. And that's what CBS is to a lot of people. But
No,
I'm not just a white boy.
It's always been mixed.
It's always been mixed. There's always been a bunch of different
Anytime
people.
You're from a major city, a big city. You gotta play it.
You should play it that way. I see some crews out there that don't play it that way, and they're playing it safe, and that's their prerogative. With CBS Crew, we always open up, and especially like I took just a lot of chances, and failed a lot of times. And I've had like if I could do a list of all the writers that have been from CBS and aren't anymore, it would outweigh the number of writers that are from CBS. Only the strong survive. You know what I mean? And so I cannot as a leader fret about what happened in the past. I as a leader cannot worry about how there were things that I tried and that were failed. I, as a leader, have to look forward and look towards the future and plant the seeds now that I'm going to be watering and putting sunlight on. And eventually that shit's going to grow into something. And really what I do now is I don't even, like when I open up the Northwest chapter, it's not me in charge of the chapter. I have a guy that's in charge of it. And the same thing with UTI, you know what I mean? And I see crews organizing more and becoming more efficient with what they're doing instead of being a loosely, they're not maximizing their potential. And now it seems that people are maximizing their potential and seeing that they don't have too much time on the other side of the bridge. You know what I mean? Some people are Good now, point. I'm in the middle of the bridge. Mm-hmm. I got no choice but to go. I can't go back. Mm-hmm. I only have to go forward over the bridge, right? I'm 51 years old. I'll probably live until I'm 120, but there's a possibility I'll only live until 107. So that's, you have to deal with me for a long time. Well. No, hey, my grandma's 96 right now, and she's still running strong. So I think I'm going to be around for a while. I'm wondering about the surgery that I've had, and sometimes I get scared.
Well, I hope so.
Right? Sometimes I get scared that I'm like what's going to happen when my staples or whatever they put in there, my stitches and all that shit. I'm like,
words of wisdom, bro, for the next generation youngsters. Is there anything you'd like to say just to our younger viewers that are younger writers?
Words of wisdom. Yes. To younger writers, I would say, grab a number 2 pencil, sketch more. I see graffiti going backwards. I don't see adventurous, cool styles anymore like I used to. And I see kids just accepting, like, they could have not practiced for a couple months, if so. And I'm just wondering, like, are they practicing on their own? Do they have people around them showing them things? Where are their mentors? Who's showing these kids these things? Are they just going on the internet and just taking it for, taking that and just being like, oh, I'm just trying to copy what's out there? As you need people behind you, mentoring you, showing you and saying your R is whack. Your R is whack and you need to fucking not do that kick ever on your R. Do this other kick like this. And the OG shows them, bap, 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 bap. Here. That's how you're going to rock your R from now on.
So are you saying a word of wisdom is like, get a mentor, youngsters, if you can?
I would say that if a word of wisdom to anybody doing anything that they want to be powerful in life, have somebody that you can talk to about whatever it is you need.
I have
a really good, I have a mentor. He's not doing his best. He's in his 80s. He's my wife's mom's cousin. And he's been my business mentor. He's the guy that turned me on to the Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill. I feel you, man. Right? So he called me one day and he said, hey, man, he's like, he always sees me at the holiday parties and he's always like, what are you up to? Da, 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 da. Tell him about my ideas, this and that. Da, da, da. One day I'm working in Chicago and he's like, hey, he's like, can I talk to you for a second? I'm like, yeah, sure, Bert. What's up? He's like, I just, he's like, I just see you in life. Sometimes you're swimming and I don't think you know where you're swimming, and I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, yeah. He's like, I think sometimes you need to ask me how you if you're doing good at swimming and if you're swimming in the right direction, and I'll tell you if your stroke is good and all that kind of stuff. Right. And I was like, whoa, shit, like I'm in the middle of like building a fucking wiring a system, you know what I mean? I'm like, what the fuck? What is this fool putting in my ear? And he's like, yeah. He's like, matter of fact, like, you know what? Anytime you want, I'm available for you. He's awesome. Like, everybody needs a mentor. And he's like, I just want you to know that you have me 24/7 anytime. Fresh, if it's business, if it's personal, it doesn't matter. I'm here for you.
Super important.
And he said, but the one caveat is that I need you to go out and I need you to buy this book and I need you to read this book and I need you to read it over and over again until you understand it and get it and that it means that it's kind of like your Bible, right? And so I'm like, all right, cool. I'm gonna go get it. And I went out to the fucking store, bought the book. And I don't like reading. I don't retain information so much. And so I tried to read as much as I could when I could and like retain it. And then I have to read the paragraph again because I'm not as smart as everybody else. So I got to retain information differently. So I'm really grateful about the internet and the way that, you know, you can go on fucking YouTube and you can just learn.
Yeah.
I mean, I spend like 2-3 hours of my day just learning about stuff, learning about the history of Los Angeles, learning about sewing, learning about embroidery, learning about printing, you know, like kids, it's about learning. Don't do it by yourself. Don't feel lonely. Just go out there and ask somebody to help you.
That's it.
Yeah. If you need help, you have to ask for it. Nobody's going to just give you the help. Everybody wants you just to keep doggy paddling. And if you only doggy paddle and you don't get a good stroke going, you're not going to go anywhere. You're just going to fucking stay right there. Swimming in circles.
Good stuff, my bro.
Right? So if I could say anything to anybody and inspire anybody, and I hope that I do, and I want to, because I feel inspired every day I wake up. I don't get the life that I almost didn't get to have this life.
Right.
I'm grateful every day to whatever powers that it was put me on this earth. And I'm grateful every day that different people taught me how to swim.
Fresh, bro.
All right?
Shout outs, bro.
First and foremost, I'd like to shout out my mom for taking care of me, my sister for being with me along my journey. And then I'd like to shout out my crew, Can't Be Stopped crew, Axis and Trend for being fucking cool, fucking skater homies back in the day. Fucking really just anybody that I've crossed paths with and that I've built a relationship with. I mean, this world is really about all of your relations. Your network is your net worth. You know what I mean? And you really have to like delve into who you are as a person. And if you're going to be successful in anything, know people, talk to people, get people around you that are doing things that you're not doing so that you can all create a team to do those things together. Because you can't get anywhere by yourself. You have to be together with other people. That's how they got across to the United States. And that's how the fucking Indians fought the fucking whites. They fought them together. They didn't fight them separately. They fought them together. So,
okay, I want to take a minute to, speaking of honoring somebody, I want to honor those elders that I was mentioning earlier. I want to honor Heriberto, shout out Heriberto and Angelica Oriol. Maria de la Luz Blair, love you. And Helen Samuels, you're a wonderful human being. Love you too. Thank you for everything you did for us, the young writers of Los Angeles. And, you know, your work will live on not only through us, but through those that we pass on the torch to. So,
Earth Crew's coming back 2024. Just said it right here. You heard it first. Yeah, that's right, Helen. Come to L.A. We're about to get this shit together. Let's bring it back.
Because time is our most precious resource, always remember that every minute, every second, every moment matters. So let's do our best to live a kind, compassionate, and loving life. And God willing, we'll see you in the next episode. 1.